Hey, how's it going, guys? Mr. Boss for the win here, and in today's Grand Theft Auto 5 video, I'm going to be talking to you guys about 15 tips and tricks, hidden details, and secret features that you might not have known about in the Grand Theft Auto Online Smuggler's Run DLC. So we have a ton to jump into today, so let's not waste any more time, and let's get it started. All right, tip number one, you might want to take a walk around your hangar. And what I mean by that is climb up on the ladders, get up on all the rafters, because there's actually some hidden surprises up there. So I have found two weapons that are actually inside of the top of the hangars themselves. One is ammo for the heavy sniper rifle, which is pretty cool. And then the other is ammo for the homing launcher, which actually spawns every like 5 to 10 seconds. So once again, take a look around your hangar because there's some little secret things that are actually spawning in, very similar to what will happen in the bunkers and very similar to what will happen on your yachts too. So weapons will actually spawn in your hangar, and it's a great way to get some free ammo, I guess, for your character. And they're pretty useful weapons too, the homing launcher and the heavy sniper rifle, which is awesome. So climb up on your hangar and take a look at some of their stuff because there could be some cool things up there. All right, tip number two, did you know that you can store pretty much any vehicle inside of your hangar? That's right. So if you take a older vehicle, it doesn't have to be a DLC one. It can be a Buzzard or a Cargo Bob or a Luxor, or it could be, the Savage, whatever the case is, you can store it inside of your hangar, and for the most part, you can do customization on those vehicles. Now, for the majority of vehicles, it is just going to be respraying the color, but one thing I found was pretty funny is if you actually bring the Luxor inside of your hangar, you can actually paint it gold, thus saving yourself around $8.5 million not having to buy the Luxor Deluxe if indeed all you want is a gold jet. So Rockstar have foiled their own plans and basically made the Luxor Deluxe worthless by allowing you to bring the Luxor inside of the hangar and paint it gold. The only thing it won't have is the amenities in the back, but honestly, who uses that anyways? But at the end of the day, you can bring in any vehicle and customize it pretty much just the way you want. All right, tip number three is kind of a 2-for-1. You guys might not have known about this, but there is a new section of the vehicle interaction menu. It actually will allow you to spawn your new personalized aircraft, the ones that are stored in the hangar, in front of you at any time. Works very similarly to the vehicle one and the special vehicle one. Now, what's also pretty cool about this is this will allow you to get 3 vehicles out at once. That's right, you can have 3 aircrafts out at once. So how you can do this is by calling one via Pegasus, calling one via your business, so whether an MC or a SecuroServe, and then bringing one outside of your hangar. So I found that this is pretty cool that if you wanted to have 3 buzzards out at the same time that you could all use, you can, which I definitely think is pretty unique. So this new menu adds a pretty cool, unique dynamic to the game as far as how many vehicles you can have, the delivery system. It's certainly not perfect. I was standing on the airport, and instead of it putting it on the runway, it delivered it to like another area across the map. So it's definitely not perfect, but it is a nice new feature, and you might not have known that you could have that many vehicles out at the same time. Tip number 4, so the most expensive vehicle so far, the Tula, is kind of like a Swiss Army knife. This thing can do everything. It has the jet-assisted takeoff, the VTOL landing and takeoff as well. But one of the cool things you might not have known about this vehicle is it can actually land on the water. However, you kind of have to be careful because there's a bug going around that if any part of the engine touches the water, it's going to start breaking down and getting destroyed. So you can't like slam this vehicle into the water. It's really only used for like a resting purpose because if any of the engine touches the water, it will start to take damage. And obviously if this happens out at sea, you're going to be in trouble. So like I said, I don't know if this is a glitch or a bug or if Rockstar just made the engines super sensitive to water with this vehicle. But even though it technically has the ability to land on water, just know that it is ultra sensitive. And if you're not careful at all, you'll find yourself getting destroyed rather easily, and then you're going to have to either kill yourself or have one of your friends pick yourself up because your plane is no longer going to work. Moving on to the next tip, this is actually an Easter egg. This has to do with the clothing store. So Rockstar added 3 tank tops that I thought were particularly cool. One of them says Liberty written across the chest, and underneath it says 08. That's a reference to the fact that Grand Theft Auto 4, which took place in Liberty City, was released in 2008. If we look at one of the other tank tops, it says San Andreas 04, which is a reference to the fact that Grand Theft Auto San Andreas was released in 2004. And then there's a pink Vice City one, which has 02 written underneath, which is a direct reference to the fact that Grand Theft Auto Vice City came out in 2002. So I love when Rockstar do pretty cool Easter eggs like this, especially when they're references to previous GTA games. All right, the next Easter egg actually appears on the Buckingham Alpha Z1, and it is a reference to Come Outside. So if you've never seen Come Outside, they have a plane in there that has a very similar livery to the one we have, which is Play Outside. So I thought that that was pretty cool. Once again, Rockstar doing lots of really cool references to pop culture and their video games in GTA 5 Smuggler's Run DLC. So I thought that was pretty awesome. So this one is called Play Outside, whereas the real life reference is Come Outside. So I thought that that was pretty awesome right there. Moving on, another thing that I think is pretty cool is that all the new planes can now actually be used in the creator mode. So for those of you creators out there that are looking to make new jobs or death matches or races, well, you can now put all of the new planes in the creator mode, which is pretty cool. Sometimes Rockstar are finicky about that, like with the special vehicles that came with import-export. So I'm glad to see that they did not do that here and that you can fully use them in the creator mode. Moving on, one thing I think is pretty cool is when you're returning to your hangar, you can actually enter coming at full speed. So you don't have to worry about hitting the wall or hitting the door. As long as you're close to the ground, the hangar will like suck you in. It'll take you to the cutscene, very similar to the way the bunker works. So I thought that this was pretty cool because the first couple times I entered my hangar, I was being very careful to pull up very slowly, but no, you can fly in at the speed of light. As long as you're close to the ground, you'll be sucked in and you'll be taken in and you won't take any damage, which I actually thought was really cool and is especially useful if you're trying to like get away from someone that's chasing you, because you're going to be able to be safe, whereas they won't have that same luxury. They'll have to crash into the front door of your hangar. Moving on, something else I saw that was pretty cool, and I'm actually not sure how you activate this, but when you get inside of some of the new aircrafts, you'll actually end up with 2 parachutes, which is actually pretty great for stunting. So you can pull one, then you can drop it, and then you can pull another, and you'll still be safe. So this was happening to me a lot yesterday, and I couldn't figure out how. But when I was trying to replicate it today, I wasn't having the same results. I was only getting one. So maybe I'm doing something wrong. Maybe this is a result of doing something like the sourcing missions. I'm not entirely too sure, but this is something I had never seen before prior to this update actually coming out. So now in some instances, you'll actually get 2 parachutes, which can be great because there are a lot of stunting planes and helicopters that were added. So I am a big fan of that addition. Moving on, let's talk about the new combat night vision thermal helmets. So these can actually be found at the clothing store, and it's kind of confusing at first because you buy them and then you flip the goggles down and nothing happens, even in first person mode. Well, that's just because like the night vision goggles, you actually have to activate them. So in order to activate them, what you have to do is open up the interaction menu, go down to accessories, styles, find helmet, and then when you are toggled over the helmet, you have to either hit X on the Xbox controller or square on the PlayStation controller in order to activate it. Then every time you flip it up and down, it will be in the thermal mode, which is really, really cool. So I was having a hard time figuring this out when I first got it, and the helmet doesn't really give you clear instructions on what to do. And because they're pretty pricey, like $90,000 to $100,000, I wouldn't want someone buying this and then getting it and saying, why is my helmet not working? I bought this for a purpose. So definitely use that. You have to activate it. It is pretty cool and a rather unique experience. So I don't know if it's worth $100,000, but it's definitely one of the more unique features and add-ons we certainly got with this update. Moving on, something really cool you probably didn't know about the Ultralight. There's actually a propeller upgrade that will allow you to stay off the radar. So this is very cool. It's the muffled carbon propeller. No other plane we've seen really has something like this, but while traveling at slow speeds and during initial takeoff, you're actually going to be off the radar. Now, when you go off the radar, it'll give you a notification in the top left-hand corner, and on your mini-map in the bottom left-hand corner, you'll actually see your icon flashing. When you see that, that's when you know that you've successfully gone off the radar and that other players won't be able to see you. So this is incredibly cool, and it adds a completely different element to this aircraft, a stealth element that I didn't even know was going to exist with something like this. So this, in my opinion, is really awesome. It makes this new air glider, in my opinion, even that much more worth it. The only really downside to this is that upgrade is rather expensive. I think it was a couple $100,000 to put on there, but it's really awesome. Like, you don't even have to hold the accelerator, and you'll still just keep floating and floating and floating, and you can be off the radar, and almost no one will be able to find you, which is really awesome. So that's an amazing feature of this aircraft that I didn't even, like I said, know existed. All right, something that was pretty cool that was added with this update. You guys know Nervous Ron is the guy who leads us through our kind of hangar introduction. Well, he has actually added a podcast to one of the in-game radio stations. That's right, one of the radio stations actually got an update with about 24 minutes of him talking. So I'll leave a link to it in the description if you want to listen to it on SoundCloud, so you don't have to try and find it in-game. But it's pretty interesting. He talks about aliens and stuff like that, and just a bunch of crazy stuff that Nervous Ron would talk about. But I think it's cool that Rockstar updated the game like that, and the fact that they added a new radio station with his podcast is really awesome. So once again, if you want to take a listen to that, I'll leave a link to it in the description. Kind of tying into that, because it has to do with the introduction of the hangars. You guys know when you buy a hangar, you get a free Cuban 800. Rockstar didn't just choose that vehicle out of random. It's actually the only old aircraft that can be modified with something more than just respray. The Cuban 800 can actually get bombs applied to it, just like some of the other new ones. So don't just immediately throw it away or scrap it out of your hangar, because it actually is pretty weaponized and useful. Unfortunately, it doesn't seem to get any armor buff or anything like that, like some of the other vehicles we have, but at the end of the day, it is still pretty cool. So don't throw away that Cuban 800. A lot of people are going to see that vehicle and say, that sucks compared to some of the new ones. Why would I waste my time with that? Well, number one, it's free, and number two, it can be weaponized as well, which is something you may not have known about. Something else you may not have known about, and this functions exactly like the bunkers, that you can use your aircraft hangar to instantly get rid of the cops. So it doesn't matter if you have a 2-star wanted level or a 5-star wanted level, and it doesn't matter if they're standing right next to you. You can just go up to the hangar door, you can go inside, and you will instantly lose your cops. And what's great about this is there's no waiting period either. As soon as you load and get inside, you can jump right back out like 30 seconds later, and the cops won't be there, and you won't have the cop stars on you anymore. So this is a great feature of the bunker and the MOC, and it looks as if that similarly awesome feature has been transferred over to the air hangars, which is really cool. And finally, last but not least today, and speaking of the bunkers, one thing that Rockstar removed, which I actually thought was pretty cool, is the Caddy's ability to run other players over. So you now no longer can run players over with the Caddy. It kind of functions similar to the NPCs that stand there. You just kind of either phase through them, or you can't run through them at all. They kind of act as blockades. So I kind of see this as a bummer and not necessarily an upgrade, because it was always really fun to like ragdoll your friends around in the bunker. But unfortunately, now you're no longer able to do that, and you're just going to have to either go around them or wait for them to get out of the way. But anyways, that's all the information that I'm going to be talking about for you guys in this video today. 15 new things, tips and tricks, secret features, and hidden details that you might not have known about the Smuggler's Run update in Grand Theft Auto Online. As always, if you feel like I missed anything, or you know of a secret feature that I didn't mention in this video, let me know in either the comment section down below or on Twitter, and you might find yourself featured in another video like this. If you did go and enjoyed this video, though, a like rating would of course be awesome. And also subscribe to my YouTube channel if you are new, or you like daily GTA 5 videos like this. With all the way, guys, like I said, thanks so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next video.